I got
Say hello, Stu.
stereo. We had triple stews. It never gets old. I don't, it should. We're like a bunch of
I'll
teenagers.
I'll be honest. I'll be sitting here by myself, and sometimes I'll just like, "What do you think,
Push it,
Stu?"
just scream. Yeah. Hey, he's doing what the rest of us feel like doing during the day sometimes, right?
Yeah, fair point. Fair
He's an
point.
inspiration that way. All right, yo, YouTube. Welcome back to the chat live with Charlie and Stu and myself, Adam from the Dollar Box. And I only have one topic for tonight, and it's gonna take us a while to get there, as it usually does anyway. But I want to talk about time management, and I want to find out from our viewers, our chat, and even anybody who's watching this later on, can post comments and provide their thoughts and input. But I want to talk about time management. Time management is something that every business reviews constantly, right? You want to get as much out of
Absolutely.
your day as you possibly can. So I want to know what everybody does for their time management tips and tricks and do's and don'ts and things you do takes too long, but you just have to do them a certain way because of your personality type, whatever. Um, and for those of you who don't do this as a full-time gig, what would your day look like? What would you do all day? How would you set up your business day? Typical business day. Not every day is the same, of course, but before we get into that, Mr. Charlie has something fun to share, an achievement.
I
You wanna go
do.
ahead and talk about that? I guess.
Oh
I
my.
don't know, you're
Oh my.
telling me you do.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know I was going to be, so early in the show. I didn't prepare.
That's how special you are, Charlie.
Well, I did. I hit a landmark today. Not just today, but literally like 5 minutes before we went live here. Something I've been working towards in the summer. It's it's perfect. We're talking about time management tonight because the summer really hit my available time with football and going up north and all that stuff. Like it took me longer to get to this mark than I thought. I feel like I've been talking about it all summer long on the show that I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. But I finally did it tonight. And that mark is right there. 10,000 listings finally. I hit it hard this week. I think I started on Sunday. When did I get the scanner from you? I got it last Wednesday, but I really didn't start scanning until this weekend. I think I had 400 or 500 scans to go, or cards listings to go to get there. And then some things changed this week. And I was like, man, I'm nervous. I don't think I'm going to get there before Wednesday because I had told you by Wednesday, I want to hit that 10,000 mark. And
Yep.
I even talked big, and I remember saying, oh, it's going to happen. I'm going to do it. And then today I started off the day, and I think I had like 80 to list at the start of the day. And had to go to the office and then had football practice after. So I'm like, boy, I'm going to have to cram some stuff in between all that and the show. And then I had some cards sell like a half an hour before we went live. And I was like, dang it. Thanks for the sale. But now I got to list those cards too. But I hit it. Did some old, well, here, I've got them in order here. I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So officially, I hit 10K listings with this card here. The old Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo. I know, right? So big deal for me. It's been a bit of a battle getting there, even with the scanner. Scanner's great, but it doesn't work itself, right? I still have to be able to work it.
Well, and we share it. You're not gonna have it
Yes.
24 hours a
Yes.
day, which again, I still think there's a big positive in that it forces you to not just do the quick, easy scan batch stuff,
Correct.
which are
Correct.
generally not the best sellers in a lot of cases.
Right. Right. Yep. And while you had the scanner, then I was scanning stuff, or not scanning, but I was listing stuff like this, the shiny gold,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. We got a Donald Duck there. Um so you're right. It keeps you diversified. Like you're not doing only your $1.99 cards, or if you're a 99-cent
Mhm.
seller. Did I do some of those once I got the scanner? Heck yeah, I did, because I knew I had some ground to gain, right?
Well,
um
and
you know
and there's nothing wrong with that. If those cards sell, I sell a lot of those types of cards. Why
yeah,
not list them?
yeah,
And if you have them and you got them cheap and they're not gonna sell if they sit there.
yeah. And
So
they are easy to scan. So again, back to that time theme. If you're in a time crunch like I was this week, I said, what can I list fast that I know CDP is going to have in the database? Oh, I got some 80s and 90s baseball and football. Heck yeah,
mhm.
I'll list that, because I can pull out of that box. I can pull all from the same set, load them in, and just go, 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 go.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. 10 grand
Thank
is,
you.
definitely a solid mark to hit. You only have to do that 6 more
Six
times
more
now, 5
times.
more times. Yeah. Um, to max out your first store, but
Yeah.
you'd be surprised. They start adding up pretty quick. I mean, I so there's been a lot of discussion about doing this full time and that kind of thing. I see that a lot in the Discord, and I try not to jump in on those because I want everybody else to sort of discuss that because that's a big thing to have happen.
Right.
Um, and it was a big decision for me too. But I think where the error comes in, and I see this, I talk about this all the time with any business really, and that's the growing too fast type of thing.
Yeah.
Don't have 3 months of listings, 1,000 listings up and then quit your job. Like, that's not you have to establish things really well before, you know I mean, everybody's situation is different, obviously, depending on how much money you need or if you don't even need a paycheck, whatever. Um, but it takes a lot of capital to get this going. You have to take pretty much all your sales money for a long time and just buy cards with it, and
It does.
there's a
Yeah.
lot to it. There's a lot to it. So, um I guess the one piece of advice, or to share my experience on it, I guess, would be you really got to wait until like it demands an 8 or 9 hour day of work, filling orders and doing inventory and accounting and all that kind of stuff. That would be thing number one. Thing number two would be that, yeah, you can actually make a living.
Right.
Um, if you can't pay your mortgage, it's really not a great option for you then. So, but that's where the time management part comes in too. You can probably work around it entirely with, I got to the point where I was basically working two full-time jobs, and I don't know how many people really want to do that. Um, yeah, there was more money in it than when I left and didn't get the paycheck at all, sure. But
Yeah.
your time and your sanity and your family and your other hobbies and, you know, and quite frankly, your devotion to building a good business versus constantly, splitting it up, and not giving it necessarily the attention it deserves if that's what you really want to focus on for your future. So
Right.
there's a lot to unpack there. It's a big deal, especially if you've got a family, you got a house, you have all these other things going on. You know, you're not just deciding for yourself, but
Or a conference champion playoff team that you're coaching
right, right.
with.
Well, I mean, that's basically another hobby or another job, right? So,
Yeah.
like, you're really piling it on, and um, I did a lot of that too. I was doing all of everything for a long time, and just it starts to break you down after a while. And you start missing too much other things, that you want to be a part of, and Mine wasn't football. Mine was doing like charity work and stuff like that with the costumes. We were gone every weekend, and then a dog we had. Do you remember Oscar, my boxer? Remember him at all?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
do actually. Yeah.
Well, he was my bestie, when I was working from home the first time, and when we got to that, and we were gone all the time, and then, he got old,
Yeah.
it doesn't take long for dogs to get old, and it was like, he was getting to the end, and I'm like, for the last 3 years, I barely saw him, because I was out doing all this other stuff, and so, you're as you get older, I think some of your priorities change a little bit too.
Yeah.
It's not all about what you want. There's other things to consider on and their experiences and stuff. So yeah, just to kind of touch on that real quick because I know that's been sort of kicked around a lot about, how much how far do you want to get into this? Well, that's for each single person to decide, of course, but is it possible? Yes. But it takes a lot of work. And I still believe in multiple sources of income because anything can fail at any time. I believe that even if you work a good solid job. I have I'm not gonna say names, but I have let's just say an acquaintance of mine who's been at a job for 28 years, and he was just kinda riding it out until that full pension hit, in like 2 or 3 years, and he just got nixed this week.
Ooh.
So, he's still gonna get some pension and some other things worked out, but he's like, yeah, they got rid of basically everybody who costs them real money. They can hire everybody at a third of the cost.
Right.
Um, and it's government money, so they're even more cautious with where it goes, I suppose, because it's hard to ask for more money as a government facility. But anyway, but that's my point. And now he does have some side stuff. He does some small engine stuff and things like that. So he'll have time. Obviously, he'll have more time where he can focus on some of those other things. But I think it's really dangerous. And Charlie, your wife just went through this.
Yeah.
I got a great job and I get good pay and I get good benefits. Well, guess what? They can take all that away from you in one day.
They can.
So I think the importance of doing something like this is it's you build it for you. Who's going to take away my card business? No one can. Unless unless laws change and they outlaw like online sales or go real drastic on something where it would pull that type of plug. But then I could still sell at shows. I could open a store. Um there's other things that you can do to kind of still fit it in and it's still going to be yours. Um, but I think it's really important to have something that's yours that somebody can't take away and turn
Yeah.
upside down on you. The people who are like, well, I'm going to get my social security. That ain't guaranteed either. You could be on that for 10 years and be 90 years old and all of a sudden, boom, you don't get social security anymore.
It's possible. Yeah.
It's possible. So I think it's important to have as many of your own things that you can control as possible. So anyway, that's kind of my overview for this evening of my thoughts on where I kind of wanted things to go. I thought it'd be really good for discussion and really good for sharing some ideas. The Discord does a great job. By the way, if you're not on the Discord, I'm going to try to get it as it goes by. Well, okay, first link here, that's my Patreon. So if you want to contribute to the channel and help me so I can keep doing this, the second link here is our current Discord invite link. So if you're not on the Discord, follow my finger there. There it is. Um,
Man, the Discord's been popping lately.
yeah,
Really
Discord's been
good
popping.
discussion
We've gotten a
there.
couple of new faces in the last week too, which was nice. So great space to share, great space to get ideas and ask questions. And we always have some new people pop in and then some people who've
Yep.
been around for a while kind of help them. And then, some of the new people will come in and they'll say, hey, did you guys know that One Piece is really hot right now? You guys should buy some One Piece cards. And all us old guys are like, what the hell is One Piece? Um, so kind of like the whole purpose for our show where we were taking the newer seller and the elder seller and kind of trying to use each other's experiences and lack of experience, if you will, to get us better, make us better.
Right.
Um, the Discord does a great job of that. And then, like I said, you don't have to just listen to me and Charlie all the time. There's other people in there um, that you can ask questions to and will help with
And
things.
there's a lot of differing opinions on things.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Do we should we do some chat first, and then we'll kind of maybe ask for some different things in time management? Does that
Yeah, I
sound
don't
all
see
right?
why not. Why don't we jump
Okay.
into it?
Alrighty. All right. So right at the top here. Oh, someone's stealing my line. Yo, 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 everyone. It's been a while, but sales have been brisk and snagged a Tom Brady lot at Tim's show on Saturday. Looking forward to this Saturday. Yeah, I saw your post on that, Brian. That's picking up Tom Brady lots. Always a good thing. If you get them at the right price and stuff, they're still pretty easy to sell. They don't move quite as good as they did a couple years ago, which makes sense since he's not active anymore. Um, but that can also translate into you getting deals on stuff, whereas it was a little bit harder to get Tom Brady deals, a couple years ago as well. So, but anyway, glad to have you back. Thanks for joining us tonight. Art Green is here. He says, "Good evening. Do you just lose access to CDP when your membership refresh? Would like to add a batch, but it says my account is deactivated."
There's
Funny
a
you should
little
mention
window,
that.
right?
Yeah, that literally happened to me last month. Uh, I'd been using the scanner most of the day, and all of a sudden I scan a batch, and it says you don't have an account. I'm like, what? Um, and then yeah, I logged out. I logged back in, and it still said that. And then I logged back out, back in, and that must have been enough time for them to reload me because then I had a new number of scans available, and it's right back to normal, and I could keep working. But yeah, I would just if you run into that, I would just give it some rest time and then go back in, and you'll be able to work on it. Obviously, if it happens for hours or a day, I would contact Car Dealer Pro and say, "Hey, I think when you're rebuilding me, something happened and now I can't do anything." So, doesn't do them any good if you don't use the scans because that's what you're paying for. So,
Right.
have you ever run into that, Charlie?
I have not. I guess I just have never been using it at the moment it refreshes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little alarming. I was like, "What is going on here?" Because I've never really had those problems with Car Dealer Pro. I get some of the regular nagging little errors that I think a lot of us get, where you scan a batch and none of the images pull up the
Yeah,
info.
yeah,
That's
I have had
annoying.
that once or twice.
And then you got to rescan, and it's like, man, it cost me another 30 scans to do this. And I know you can contact them; they'll probably reload. But again, time management. I don't want to sit there all day and talk to Car Dealer Pro either. So, um, yeah. So anyway, I've had that, and then what's the other one that we see once in a while? There's another Car Dealer Pro common error that no, I can't think of what it is though.
Yeah, I can't think of another one.
Yeah. Anyway, um, yeah, if you guys think of any, post them in here. But yeah, that's when it's rebuilding. You just got to give it enough time to have it get all set up. Okay, Brian says my day starts from Monday through Friday, 4 a.m. until 9 listing. Then I come home from work at 6 and post until 10 or 11 at night. Weekends are 12, 16 days. I think he means 12 to 16-hour days.
Yeah.
Um, you are gonna burn yourself out, buddy, doing that. That's way too much. How do you see your kids or dogs or girlfriend or wife or parents or any of that stuff? That's a little bit much on the hours. Um, However, I am a little bit like you with for my extra time. What I do, I'm a super early riser, way earlier than anybody else in my house. So I'm usually up at like 4. I have an elderly three-legged dog. For those who don't know, her name is Yaya. Um, it's actually Lila, but we got her a couple weeks before we adopted Luna, and she couldn't say L's. so she called her Yaya. So we love that name, so it just stuck. But anyway, um, she has some issues where she needs to go out to potty in the middle of the night. Uh, so I'm usually up 3, 4 o'clock. She'll whine a little bit, and I'll get her out of her kennel and I'll take her out for potty. Um, and then I'm up. That's it. That's the end of it. So I'll usually come back in about 3:30. Sometimes I'll lounge for 15, 20 minutes. Um, and then I'm down to work. So I'll work from like, I would say 3:30, 4 o'clock till probably 7. And then I head upstairs. I get my breakfast. I do all that. I have my own little kitchen down in my office area. So it's pretty nice that way. Um, then I'll go up at 7 and with the rest of the family, we'll do our showers and help the kid get ready for school and get her watch on and put all her lunch together and all that kind of stuff. Um, I like to put her on the bus. The whole point of working for yourself is that you can schedule the things you actually want to do and the experiences you want to have with others around your workday. To me, that's the point of it, or the goal anyway. But I like to get her on the bus, then I'll come back in and I'll work. So probably quarter after 8, something like that. So I probably have like 15 or 20 minutes in there where just hanging out with her, while she finishes breakfast, gets ready for the bus, and get her on her way. Um, and then I'll usually work from 8 till 5, 5:30, quarter to 6, somewhere in there, depending on what I'm doing. Except for nights where I have certain things that we have to do um, before those hours. But that's about it. And then tonight, obviously on Wednesday nights, I have the chat. So those are, as far as like time I have to work with, those are the hours I have to work with. So I figure it's about a 10-hour day because I get about 3 hours in the early morning, and then 8 to 5 is what? That's 9 hours, I think. If you figure there's an hour lunch in there, half-hour lunch in there, something like that. Um, so yeah, 10 to 12 hour day is basically what I put in. You kind of have to. Um, you know, it's great when you hit these listing marks. I'm super happy for everybody when we hear it or when I see it, but it means a lot more work on the other side too. You start having to pack a lot more orders. You got more inventory to handle and keep track of, and more accounting. You need to buy more cards because now you've got more cards that are selling, and you want to keep your listings up there. Um, so that's where everything really starts compounding, and that's kind of what was pushing me towards. I really need full time to be able to do this. So, what's your day in cards like? Um, assuming you don't
Yeah,
have football, assuming it's non-football day.
assuming I don't have football. Well, I typically start with about a half an hour in the morning, whether it's if I have the scanner, I might run a batch through quick, um, pack any orders that sold overnight, put them in the mailbox before I leave for work. Um, if uh, if I don't have the scanner, I probably load up on more cards on my phone. We've talked about that before. That I
Yep.
take my stuff mobile. So like today when I'm in the office, I had 15, 20 cards on my phone ready to go. And then throughout the day when I'm on break or lunch, I will crop some photos and get them listed throughout the day. So you figure uh, between the breaks and lunch, I maybe get another solid half hour of card work in.
Okay.
So that puts me at roughly an hour of my day. And then when I get done at the office,
Well, if you're working on cards at work, though, that's still time on cards, though, right?
yeah, but I have two 15-minute breaks and an hour lunch, right?
Oh, okay,
So
gotcha.
the time spent actually on cards is probably only a half an hour in there while
Okay,
I'm at the office away from home, and then the half an hour before I leave. So then I'm at, roughly an hour by the time I get home from the office. Um, And then if we're talking non-football season, there's a little bit of time checking in with the kids. There might be a little project I'm working on somewhere in the house. I'll spend some time there. And I like to have dinner up at the table and hear about everybody's day.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll spend an hour or two just living family life, right? But then I will come downstairs and probably spend at least 3 hours a night working on cards. Even in football season, I'll get home about 6. By 7 o'clock, I'm downstairs and I'm working until about 10 o'clock, right? Sometimes 11 even. Just depends
Mhm.
on if I'm in the zone on something. And then weekends, if I don't have other plans, if it's just a weekend at home, I'm a late riser. I'll probably get out of bed around 9 o'clock, fix myself a cup of coffee. And then I really enjoy doing this work on the weekends without all the other stuff going on. And I might work 10 straight hours through on a Saturday or Sunday,
Mhm.
just because it it flows for me, right?
Yeah.
I'm not I don't have 20 other engagements that I have to do during the day. So that's kind of what I do. So what is that? Probably 4 hours a day during the week. That's 20 hours
Mhm.
a week. Um, and then on the weekends, I would say I easily get another 20 hours over the weekends.
Yeah.
So now I'm at another 40-hour job, right?
Yep. See, and that's the thing, and you're at 10,000 listings, wait till you get, like, 30,000 listings,
Yeah,
which was kinda my breaking point. I was at, like, 29,000 when I hung up, my other position and went with this
yeah,
full time. Um, yeah, and I really don't wanna work weekends. That's the time when the kids got stuff going on. My wife works, all weekdays, and, we try to go out and do stuff. We wanna
mhm,
go do activities. This Saturday, unfortunately, I'll be missing the Green Bay Card Show this week, but this Saturday, our homeowners association, we have our own, um, acreage with a creek and stuff, and we have a trail that goes through there. We set up a haunted trail,
yeah,
and my wife's in charge of that, so I'll be out there in costume. We'll be handing out candy. We've got some hot chocolate over by our park. At the end of the trail, when you cross the road, there's a park that we have too. Um, and we'll have some little game stations over there where kids can play and get little prizes, and that's the stuff that I live for. Those are things I don't wanna miss. I don't wanna be listing cards and not participating in that. So,
right,
um, trick or treat night, I'll be ending work early. I'll be done, probably at 3 p.m., if I can help it, and start handing out the candy and take the kid trick or treating, and a friend of hers is coming with us this year, so that'll be kinda fun. Um, and hand out Pokemon Halloween packs. So we have we have like there's a cul-de-sac I'm kind of in like a rounded corner lot, and there's a cul-de-sac at the end, and Charlie has seen it. It's decorated up real big, and
hmm,
um they kind of do a little Halloween party every year. So that's all set up outside, and there's music and all that. And as the kids are done trick or treating, we all kind of hover over there and get something to drink and listen to some music and talk stupid and do all those fun things. Uh, and that's what we'll be doing on Halloween night. So, um, I I I think your time management in your business day is important, but so is your time management in your personal life. So
sure,
there has
yeah,
to be a balance thing there and it's tricky. And I'm not always good at it either. In fact, that's one of the things that I was never really good at. It's taken me a lot of years. And once you have to work for yourself, trust me, you'll get better at it anyway because you don't have a choice. There's no one there to tell you what to do. Um, but that's something that I've really had to work on. So, you know, not saying that I know what I'm doing and this is what you need to do. I'm just saying I guess I feel for those who are kind of that's not necessarily their natural talent and they have to kind of work at it a little bit. That's kind of what again, this topic for tonight. That's why I wanted to discuss it a bit, see if we could help each other out with some experiences and tips in that area. But yeah, you're basically doing 40 hours a week. So you're probably putting in maybe because I'm doing 12s and I only work a couple hours on the weekend here or there. Again, I rise early, so I generally will do those
Yeah.
early morning hours on Saturday and Sunday. Just come down, get some listings done or get some stuff put away or organized or picked up or whatever. Um, so I'm probably about 60 hours a week, I would say
Okay.
at this point. So it's not a small time investment when you're doing this labor intensive type of a thing. Now, once you get more built, like I feel less pressure that I have to do that now because I'm at just about my 60,000 listings in this store. I'm at 54 or 2 or something like that.
Right.
So, as you start having those, the bulk of your listings are going and your sales just kind of happen on their own because you have enough quality listings out there, that kind of thing. You've built up a customer base and so forth. You can start taking a little bit less of that time. Um, and then Monday just gets insane because you have like 600 cards you got to pull,
Right.
uh, but at least they kind of happen on their own. You don't have to put all the time in to sort of make sure those numbers occur.
This is the stuff though, like if you are in the Discord, sometimes we get talking about, saving time at this or what's the quickest way to do that, or we've had past discussions about how do you set up your workspace, and this is why sometimes if you just jump into that, you're like, well, that sounds pretty trivial, like big deal. So something takes 90 seconds instead of 30 seconds, over the course of a week, a month, a year, that becomes a lot of time. So, that's why now I have a shelf right here at arm's length with top loaders, penny sleeves, scissors, bags. I have my scanner I can reach, or not my scanner, my label maker right here I can reach. I have the scanner right here within reach I can get.
Mhm,
I have a box of cards ready to open up and start scanning again within reach. All of that stuff, I look at it like a factory.
mhm.
um, you want everything to flow so there's minimum downtime. I don't want to get up and have to get things every 5 minutes, right? So those things matter when you start to put serious amounts of time into this.
Yeah, and that's pretty much exactly what I do too. So there's my like packing area, which is right next to my main desk. I'm off on an L desk over here that I do my video from, but you can see don't mind the lights. That's just my stand-up desk lights going insane. I hit the remote accidentally earlier. Anyway, but I have my sleeves over there. I've got my number 10 envelopes, my number 6 envelopes, top loads, card savers, um right down there is my extra supplies. So you can see I got my rolls of labels. I've got padded envelopes, some boxes, things like that. I do have an empty space over there because that's where the scanner goes when I have the scanner. The two long boxes are for business cards, which I'm out of, by the way. I got to order some.
Oh,
Um, and then my normal, kind of laptop station and all that is over there, where I have scissors and pens and those kinds of office type supplies as well. And I've seen other sellers where they're like, "Oh, I have a shipping room over here, and I've got," and I'm like, I don't know why you would want to do that. I guess maybe it's good to get away from like your regular workspace and have an area where you just have like your shipping supplies and that. I wouldn't like that. I want it. I want it right here because then right on the other side of me too is my. I don't know if you can see that. There's my cabinets
mm-hmm.
where all my inventory is. So I literally get up, go walk on to the other side of this desk, and I can start pulling all the cards pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think I have anything more than 5 steps away from me. I've got
Same.
backstock about 5 steps. I've got some listed inventory just a couple steps to my left here. I'm building up this room behind me to be a little bit more utilitarian. Like I can just wheel my chair back and grab envelopes and
Mhm.
all of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, the one space is that's gonna be a work in progress for me is gonna be my storage area because that's got all my stuff from my other business still in it. I'm still
yeah,
selling out some of that. I had 2 big orders today, um, in that area, which was good. So, slowly but surely, that's shrinking down, but I have to kinda have some patience with that. But as those sell out, I'm gonna put more file cabinets in there, and so I kinda look at it like kinda like how I was changing my inventory over from my old didn't really make sense system to bag system. Kinda doing the same thing with my cabinets. I plan to try to always have one that doesn't have anything in it yet. So I've
okay.
got, one to build on. Um, and then space-wise, and that's actually gonna be on a dolly cart right outside my office for now because I don't have the room in here right now for it.
Like
But
the
that's
kind you used to
eventually.
play floor hockey on.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Um, it's like a furniture moving dolly, but it's like a flat cart, with 4
Sure.
wheels. Anyway, but the goal is, as I'm emptying out the bins and stuff in there and that stuff sells out, I then start building all my cabinets into there, which I can fit like 15 or 20 of them in there. It's a pretty good sized room. So, I think it's good to work with your current time frames and stuff, but then also think about the future. What am I gonna need more time or more space of in the future? And, try to build that way so you don't build yourself into something where you're like, "Crap, now this takes more time again." That's easier said than done. You don't really know where things are gonna go either.
True.
I just don't believe I'm ever gonna stop at, like, 60,000 cards or something. That doesn't make sense to me. The big sellers, like, "Oh, Burbank does this many yeah, they have 10,000,000 cards listed, like,
Yeah.
not that I'm saying I wanna be Burbank, um, but if your goal is to, truly build something up big and have employees and be corporate, and all that kinda thing, like, you're gonna have to do more than 60,000 listings, I'm sorry to tell you that.
I actually started training an intern this week too.
Really? Your kid?
Yep. Yep. I showed Creed how to scan cards, and while I was doing some 9 to 5 office related stuff, I had him scanning some cards for me to keep things going.
Nice, did you pay him?
Yes, he has food
Oh,
in his belly and he has clothes on his back.
I like it. That sounds fine to me, I get what you're saying.
We actually do pay the kids for helping us out, not just with cards, but whatever it is. But you've been at card shows with me. Typically, they get cash to go to the card shows from
Yeah.
the work they did to help out. So
Hey, I gave him cash this last time too.
you gave him cash?
Well, Caleb did a bunch, he does all my toy setup, and he does such a nice job with it.
Yeah.
So I gave him some cash for setting it up for me.
What? You usually give
Yeah.
them a pop or something.
Yeah, I gave him one of those too.
Oh man,
So,
you're gonna
anyway,
make it
that was
harder on me at home. I'm gonna ask him
I
to
know
cut
that
the
was
grass, and he's gonna be like, "Well, let's negotiate about this."
that's just an extra reward for me, okay? The fact that he can give you a hard time. So, but time management, when we're running our own show, it was nice to have somebody else set up all my
True.
table stuff,
Yeah.
So for the I don't know, I didn't give him that much. I probably gave him like $5 or something, but um he was excited. He was like, "Sure, thanks." So,
Oh, heck
like, yeah,
yeah. He
we're
never
at a
turns
card
down
show,
money.
Heck no, I don't either. You'd have to be insane to do that. Do you remember this football card set? These 96 leather
Yeah, I've had a
cards
few of
were all
those.
leather. I
Yeah.
had a stack of these in one of my big boxes that I bought, or yeah, the 35,000 count box thing that I bought months ago.
Yeah.
Finally got them listed today, and it's a lot of random players. Like there's Yancey Thigpen. Do you remember Yancey
Ooh,
Thigpen?
yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers
Ricky
dropped a
Dudley, Terry.
big pass to let the Packers go
Yes,
on in the playoffs. Yeah.
yes, he did. Terry Glenn, Tim Brown,
Yep.
Junior Seau, Chris Sanders, Jeff Blake. So a lot of like not very big names, but such an
But
awesome set. The card is entirely leather on the front
yeah.
or some kind of synthetic leather, and then it's got this really nice like full color shiny picture on the back
Mhm.
of the player, and they were expensive and all that. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. These are not big name players, but I'm going to list all of them. And I sold like 15 of them today
Really?
as soon as I listed them. Yeah, I had one buyer. It's one of my regular customers. I swear he just waits till he gets the notifications that I list stuff. Um, but he had bought, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them, and I just sold a few because there's like two. There's basically two full sets here. Is basically
Okay.
what it came down to. I think there's one more bag of them, but uh, yeah. So y- you'd be surprised what you list. Now you can't scan those, so that's why they haven't been listed for a while. Um, but you'd be surprised, the stuff that will sell. Everybody's talking about trying to find these cheaper places to sell because you can't sell these cards that are that cheap. And I'm like, well, you can if you have enough listings because
Yeah.
you have to sell them where it's going to be some kind of a bulk deal or what, discount thing or something like that. That's how you get those kinds of sales. So, but time management was perfect on these because I was like, man, there's like multiples of all of them. I'll just list them as multi-quantity listings right away.
Yeah.
And they're all the same set. So it's just sell similar. And all you're basically doing is changing the name and the team, and maybe the price, depending on who it is. And I pumped those out. I had 3 bags of those. I pumped them out in maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So you can really get through, quite a bit of stuff without a scanner too and still stay on your time targets.
Definitely.
And eventually you got to list the like what the hell else are you going to do with these? You can't scan them. They're probably not going to sell at a local card show. At a Green Bay card show is going to want a Yancey Thigpen card, right? So you have to get a certain number of eyes on them because you're looking for a specific buyer for something like that. It's not a Tom Brady downtown,
Right.
Um, but that's what I love about it. I, my favorites, and you'll see this in the videos when I do like sale videos. My things I get excited about the most are stuff like that, where it's like I sold a Yancey Thigpen Contenders leather card for $2.99. That to me is the win. That's a big win. I expect to sell all the Derek Jeter cards I pulled out of there for,
Yeah.
market price or just under. I expect to sell all the, numbered inserts of Brett Favre out of there for more, it's these little fringe deals that those are the ones that, really help you pay the bills,
Yeah.
in my opinion. All right. Let's get back to the chat. Sports card. Hold on. There he is. Sports card review with Brevin is here. He says, "Hey, Dollar Box, how have you been? I've been very well, thank you. A couple weeks ago, not so good. We didn't have a show because I had the vid. But yeah, been much better since, and things are going pretty well. Keep building, keep listing a lot. Sales keep ticking up slowly but surely. They're a little slower than they used to climb. But I think some of that's just market and time too.
Yeah.
I The sales have definitely picked up in the past, like, maybe week or so, so I think we're starting to once we get into November and it's actually cold and the Christmas season is, is slapping us in the face because 'cause we're done with Halloween and all that kinda stuff, I think normally it picks up a little bit earlier than this, but it's been so warm out.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about that, I'm like, "How come my sales were a little better at this time last year than they are now. I'm like, why is that? Well, it's still 80 degrees out, so people are still
Well,
going up north on weekends, and they're not thinking about their baseball cards quite yet or their football cards quite yet.
do you think the market's at all affected by the election cycle too?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think I don't think cards specifically are. I think it's spending is
Well, the overall
affected by it.
market, yeah, is.
Right,
But I was
right. The
curious if you
spend
thought that
consumer
reaches
spending.
cards too.
Yeah. I don't think the market is affected by it, but I think consumer spending has an effect on it. And this is a contentious election, you know.
Yeah.
Um, we certainly don't want to talk politics here, but because it pertains to to our business and what we do, I think it has has some effect. I think once we get through it and hopefully things chill out and settle down and don't get too crazy, I think we'll be right back to where we were, and it'll be Christmas buying and all that stuff. And you might actually was kind of thinking about that myself. Since you brought it up, I was like, man, I might get really slammed within like a 3 week period because everybody's gonna all of a sudden be like, okay, I still got a paycheck. Okay, the United States still exists. Okay, we're
Yeah,
gonna have a
that's kind of
president.
what I was
Okay, we're gonna
thinking. Like, are we going to see a boom after the election is done?
I think we are because it's I hate that elections are in November. I hate it.
Yeah.
I've always hated that. It's the dumbest time of year to do it. Everything we're trying to get into the merry spirit and all this stuff, and all you get is these you get 1,600 political ads in a row, and nobody wants that crap. I'm tired of pulling the junk out of my mailbox and throwing it in my fire pit,
Yeah. And
and that
text
goes for all
messages left
sides.
and right.
Yeah, that goes. Luckily, I vote early. I'll admit that. Um, Luckily, once you vote, you don't get those messages anymore because they
Oh,
can see
nice.
if they can see if you've entered a ballot. Um, and it's true because I dropped mine off. I don't know, gosh, probably a good week ago now, and I haven't gotten any messages since. Um, but you still get the flyers and like that junk still goes because that just goes to like
Right.
bulk addressing and stuff, stamped addressing. Um, but yeah, I hate that it's in November. There's got to be a better time of year, and I get it. They want to have the president or new president or whatever. They want to do that right away, early January, so it's like New Year, new government arrangement, whatever it is. So I understand from their aspect, but I don't really care about their aspect. I care about, how it makes me feel and where to get because it's I don't know. It feels like it's one more thing thrown in a season that gets so busy as it is.
Yeah.
But and then it's like, okay, now there's so much acceptance for early voting and mail-in voting and all that. But back in the day, it was like, dude, November when you had to stand in line outside for like 6 hours. It's cold as hell here sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember just shivering in that line waiting. It 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 shouldn't be that hard, you know. So I think there's a lot of areas in the country that would prefer that it's not November. I don't think it's ever going to change. I think that would be a big hassle to try to get enough people to agree to it, but I just it doesn't work that well for me this time of year to have it. Um, Yeah, I think the political environment does impact some things. I think the rate environment does. We don't know if we're going to get more rate cuts, and that affects people's borrowing rates, and
Right.
um, jobs are kind of weird right now. We just talked about jobs, and how it's kind of a weird time in history, in my opinion, as an economics guy. It's a weird time in history since I've been in interested in it, where there's every place is hiring. But then there's all these places cutting jobs.
Right.
It's very strange. And it feels like the jobs that are getting cut are the people who have tenure because they cost too much. And then the places
Hmm.
that are hiring are a lot of the places people don't really want to work. Lower paying jobs, labor type job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, That's how I see it. So I don't know. I think that can affect some things too. When people don't feel just the overall picture of it, if people don't feel stable, they don't feel sure, they're not going to spend their money on baseball cards. They'll save it, or they'll make sure they pay this bill or that bill off or whatever. Okay, well, I'm not going to use credit this year for Christmas presents, then I'm just going to save my money now and use cash, things like that.
Use
Whereas
all
when
that
you're
gold and
more
silver you saved up.
right, Bitcoin, baby.
Yeah,
um but people tend to keep more cash, and things like that. And I think some people who are very liquid, they were using um like interest and earnings from investments to buy their cards, from uh, stock market investment type stuff, or money markets, or higher yield savings accounts. And boom, they were getting 7-8% on a savings account. Maybe they were using that to buy cards, and well, those rates have gone down because interest rates have gone down. So some of the liquidity might be not as available as it was a year ago or whatever too.
absolutely.
So that being said, people can only hold off spending for so long because psychologically we have to buy things. We have to spend money. It makes us feel good. It's an endorphin rush. So you're never gonna put it to zero. All right. Dan says, "Evening all. Congrats on the 10K."
Thanks,
I'm
Dan.
assuming he's directing that to the Chuck over there. Art says, "Good discussion. I'm really trying to build this into a business, but like you said, it's really important to get to this to a point where I can reasonably make a living before I pull the cord." Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to just go into this with a hope and a prayer that you can make things go. Um, so good luck. I hope you get to where you want it to be. The time with this plus my full time job definitely wears on me at times. It's a grind, but I do love it, and that's the I think you hit the nail on the head here. This is a grind job. It's a labor job. It
It
really
is.
is, because it's. I mean, I have stacks and stacks of cardboard just sitting right in front of me right here, and it's a minute percentage of what I actually have. And you have to move those things back and forth. You have to keep track of them, because when you sell them, you need to be able to get them to your customer. You got to keep them in good condition. You got to have a place to put them. Like there's a ton to do with it. And even if you get to high end, because I've had this conversation with 1,000 people. This last video I posted, for whatever reason, I was getting a lot of trolls. And oh, you can't make money on low end cards. Yes, you can. Um, but I've had a lot of people say, well, why don't you just you know s- get rid of all that stuff? Sell it in lots, sell it cheap, whatever. Take the capital and buy some big cards. But my argument to that is, it's just as labor intensive to sell most bigger cards, because it's harder to find a buyer. There's more expenses generally when you go to sell. There's insurance. There's, what if somebody doesn't pay if they win? You run into more things. If it's a raw card, they're gonna be scrutinize the condition more. When they look at there's other things that are, and that can be very risky. What if it's in what if I sell all this and I buy two huge Paul Skeens cards, right? Two 101, you know, I don't know, 101 superfractor autos or something like that. And then Paul
Sure.
Skeens, you know, falls off a cliff. Livy Dunn pushes him off a cliff. Um, that's it. That's there. It's all gone. So I like and I like cards. I don't like large investments. I like cards. I like this shiny Brett Favre base card that goes for $2. I like those cards. So that's what I want to sell. And I believe that not as many people will participate in the grind, might get started in the grind, but won't continue with it versus there's always going to be people who want to buy and sell, the $10,000 Paul Skeens card type card.
That's true.
So there's no wrong way to do it. But if you're buying let me put it to you this way, right? So a realtor makes, let's say 3% on a sale. I know it's generally like 6%, but they're with a brokerage and they get money and blah, blah, blah. You have expenses. The realtor has to pay for all the expenses to list the house and all that. So let's say in the end, they end up with 3%. So you're going, oh, a $200,000 house, they get what, 6 grand for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow, that's really good money. You only have to sell a few houses, but that's the problem. A house doesn't sell in a day generally. I
Yeah.
mean, I know we had some weird times in the market where that did, but and then you have to get another listing. So let's say I sell that house right away. I get my 3 grand and I'm like, great, that was a quick sale. Like I sold it in 10 days and I made a quick 3 grand. I have to go try to convince the next person that I'm the one to sell their house. And I'm not guaranteed to sell that in 10 days like I sold this last one. I might
Yep.
have to pay a photographer to take some drone footage and I might have to, and then you got to work with buyers and sellers. You got to be there on Sundays to show the house to prospective buyers. You might have 15 open houses and not get one offer. You could be doing a ton of work where you don't get paid
Yeah.
for any of
Payoff.
that
Yeah.
time. Right. So just because a number looks bigger doesn't mean that, well, that's the best way to make the money. The reason that number is bigger is because of the amount of work you're putting into it, no matter what it is. So yeah, these are $2 at a time, but we don't really, other than using some of the eBay tools, kind of automatic tools, we don't really have to sell them. You basically just list them, and then the things sell over time. So you're not really putting any sales time in. You're really just
Right.
doing you're doing the labor part. You're listing the car, you're getting all the information out there so that the buyer can buy it and then mailing it. And the way we mail it, I stick this in a card saver and an envelope, put a stamp on it and send it on its way. I don't have to insure it. I don't have to send it to an authenticator. Like, so, yeah, you're putting much more labor into the actual, like, multiples because you have so many multiples of cards you got to handle, but you don't have to do any of the other work that would be required if you were doing bigger cards. That makes sense?
Absolutely. And I
Okay.
don't even like we talk about it being a grind. It it is, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a grind when you're doing something you enjoy.
Mhm.
So I talk about spending 10 hours in my card room on a Saturday or Sunday. I have no idea it's 10 hours. Well,
Yeah,
Mrs.
same.
JC3 tells me it's 10 hours. I'm just having fun thinking back to memories of some of the cards I come across and seeing the interesting designs that come through, reading a few card backs here and there, remembering some fantastic seasons by some people.
Yeah.
So it's, yes, don't get me wrong, it's work. And there are times when you feel like it's work, right? When you're like, oh, I got to go do this, I got to go do that. But at the same time, you get into it. Why did we all start this? Probably because we had a passion for collecting cards at some point in our life, right? And that passion comes back through the work. So it really doesn't feel like the same kind of grind. It feels like if I'm at my keyboard at work all day, tracking
Mhm.
trucks and explaining to customers why trucks can't do 1,000 miles in 4 hours.
Yeah, no offense, but your job sounds terrible. But I get it. I mean, we all have to work too. You have to make your living, and if it's a good place, good solid job with decent pay and benefits, that's what it takes, and then you just do
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, um, but I agree. There's a lot of times where I look up and I'm like, "Holy crap, it's 3 p.m. I didn't even take a lunch yet," you know?
Mhm.
I love there's a lot of people who are like, "You sit in a basement all day with no windows," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's amazing. It's the greatest thing ever."
Yeah.
Um, Because that's what I want. I worked Charlie knows this because that's how we initially met, but I worked customer service and sales and all that for 28 years, whatever it was, and I just don't wanna deal with that face to face anymore. I get tired of the small talk, I get tired of the customer's always right thing is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because 90 I'll tell you this, and I come from banking, so maybe that makes it a little different too, but 99% of the customers who would come into me swearing that they were right and I was wrong, they were entirely wrong. So, um, yeah, so I like this part. There's a little bit of customer service. I have to message some customers here and there. I
Yep.
have to send invoices. You have to do a lot of that, but a lot of it's not face to face. It can be a quick thing. eBay's got good buttons for stuff. Hey, would you? I got a. I have a car. This one's a pet peeve of mine. So let's say I list a card for 9.99. I have a customer message me that'll say, "Would you take 7.50 for this card?" Well, send me a goddamn offer. Like it says on there, or best offer. Like make an offer. So I always go up top and I hit the little send offer button. When you're in that
Yeah.
message, you can hit the send off. I hit send offer. I put 7.50. I send it and I just reply right away. And I'm like, "Yep, I just sent you an offer." Because the good customer service side would not to be like, "Oh, yeah, send me an off." I'm not gonna tell them that. I'll just send it, especially since eBay gives you a pretty easy tool to do that with. But that's so minute. That's so much better than somebody walking into my office and, "You're not gonna believe what your teller said," "I had a cat it's $10. I wanna pay 7.50." You know what I'm saying? Um, I just that's not the customer service that I really wanna be a part of anymore. I had a and I was kinda dreading this sometimes when you get, because 'cause I'll get 6,000 eBay notifications a day, of course, on my phone, as I'm sure many
Right.
of you get lots of eBay notifications. So I pull the thing down and I see the notification is a message from somebody, and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't even wanna." This was, like, 10 minutes to 5, I had to take my daughter to piano for 5 o'clock. I'm like, "I'll just look at it later." So I did. I let it sit for a half hour or whatever. I'm like, "All right, I'll pull it down." I was just starting dinner. I had a couple of minutes. Pulled it down, clicked on it. It was a customer who said, "Thank you so much for the card. It's perfect. I'm really happy to add this to my collection." It was a Topps Chrome Heritage Ken Griffey Jr. card or something.
Okay.
So I was like, "Hey, that's awesome. How often do you get a thank you?"
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is all those years I worked in banking, especially as a manager, how I viewed it. But I would tell you that maybe in my management years, maybe I had 1 or 2 people who would come in and just thank me for the job that I do. I get that all the time on eBay.
Yeah, that's fair.
I get that regularly with YouTube. I get that regularly from you guys in the chat and people who watch. Now you get the trolls and you get the hates and you get the "what are you doings," and that's par for the course in anything with humans. Um, Hell, even AI goes off the rails and starts yelling at people after a while.
Yeah.
But but I feel like, and all I'm selling is men on cardboard and women. To be fair, women too, and squirrels. Um,
Water
and
skiing
squirrels,
squirrels,
otter skiing squirrels. But I feel like I'm more appreciated with what I do now than all that service I provided all those years. And now I'm not saying that about like Charlie and Jenna were amazing customers. They would always say, "Thank you so much for your help." If they needed anything, they would come to me first, and hopefully I did a good job for them. In
Yeah.
all those years we worked together. So I'm not saying that I never, never got that kind of gratitude, especially on the sales side, but as a manager, no. So, it's nice. I like it. And even when I have a customer who has a problem, they're generally really nice on eBay. It's usually like, "Ah,
Yeah.
dude, this one came." So, you know those Supercell cards? Did I ever show you those? I bought some at the National. Remember
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
yeah, I bought the Sonic the Hedgehog ones.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I found some Ninja Turtle ones at GameStop, so I bought some packs, and I got 2 super rare cards. I got Donatello and something else. It's one of the other
Okay.
turtles. I listed them online, front and back scan like I normally do and posted them. Well, apparently there's a QRC code on the back that you can scan, and it allows you to, like, unlock that character in the cell thing online or something like that. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how it works. So, I had a guy buy both super rares from me, made a good offer, and he's like, "Hey, I just wanna make sure, that these weren't scanned," and I'm like, "No, dude, I took them out of a pack, and I listed them online, and you bought them." And this was, like, they were listed maybe a week. It wasn't very long. So I sent them to him, and he messaged me, he's like, "Dude, I went to scan them, and they're already scanned." I'm like, "Well, I didn't scan them." And then I'm like,
Yeah.
"Holy crap, somebody scanned them in my fricking listing," is what they did. They had to have.
Ah.
They had to have. But he wasn't a jerk about it. He's like, "Dude, that sucks." He's like, "People are terrible." He's like, "Well, I really needed the code. I'm trying to unlock all the super rares." It was something I guess if you unlock enough of them, you can get some special card or something like that. I don't know.
Sure.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, yeah, I get it. You even asked me ahead of time if these were scanned and that was important to you, so I apologize." And he's like, "Well, it's not your fault." He's like, "If you don't mind, I'll return them." He's like, "I'll pay for the return postage and I'll send them back to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I said, "Just get them back to me, make sure you pack them well, and I'll refund you as soon as I get them." So that's typically the stuff that I run into. You get that weird negative on a grand occasion where you have, some weirdo who doesn't make any cognitive sense in what they're typing, but that's just par for the course too in humanity. Some people are more put together than others. Um,
Yeah.
and
Like,
it's luck of the draw sometimes.
I agree. It's, 1 out of 100 I get some kind of bad interaction where I'm like, really, um, by and large, they're pretty positive. Like, I talked last week about this crazy shipping exception I have going on with the Ground Advantage package. That package is still making the loop between 4 processing centers on the East Coast as we speak today.
Oh,
But
nice.
so I talked to the buyer a couple times, and he's like, "Hey, I just appreciate you keeping in contact with me." He's like, "I know this
Yep.
stuff happens. I've never
Hmm.
seen anything like this, and neither have I." And even now, the post office finally just upgraded a processing exception on it, but it's almost like we're both sitting here saying, okay, we want to see how this plays out. Now, I did
Hmm.
tell him, hey, whatever happens here, I'll make it right. But it's a good customer, and we're both looking at this saying, what is it going to take to get this to you? But nobody's flying off the handle. Nobody's making wild
Yeah.
accusations, right? Like, we are both used to having transactions and things go awry sometimes. And now it's almost comical. We're like, where's this thing going to go next, right?
Yeah. As long as it keeps moving, it'll end up, to one of you at some point. It's when it stops moving that you're like, "Oh, okay.
What the
This
message
isn't
I get
happening."
now on the latest update, and this is on the USPS site, because with the Ground Advantage, you can go to their site and track
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Um, the Postal Service has identified a problem with the processing of this item at 4:39 yesterday. Um, Actually, what is it, Wednesday? This was Monday afternoon in South Jersey, New Jersey distribution center. The local facility has been alerted and is taking steps to correct the problem. But I'm curious, do they even know where this package is anymore? Is there
No, I think
somebody
it
with this in their hands? I don't think so.
no. I bet that's just some generic statement that after it hits a
Right.
certain number of scans, it throws that in there.
Right.
So,
Like
but
it looped
that's
between Philly and Jersey like 4 times now.
that's the beauty of what we sell too. Most people aren't gonna get super concerned about it. It's a $10 card.
Right.
You know, if you
Right.
sell the higher end cards, then now you gotta deal with the harder customer service, to some degree as well. I worked all those years in financial services. Well, things happen to people's money, you're not gonna piss them off any faster than that.
Right.
Or you can't get them money or they don't qualify for money or something like that. You just you just I literally had somebody tell me once, "Well, now my kids can't have Christmas because of you." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's my fault that you don't have any money." But that kind of stuff comes up. Nobody's gonna tell me that over their baseball card. So, um, I like that. That's nice to, still have a solid career in something I enjoy doing and not have to deal with, like, the crap part as much.
For sure.
Alright, Dolly Hilarity? Hilarity.
Daily hilarity.
Daily hilarity. Oh my gosh. I even have my glasses on and I can't read it. My son literally just lost his supervisor position they gave him a month ago, and his hours got dropped by a third with no notice tonight. See, that's what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of times where, and I'm super sorry that happened to him. It sucks. Especially he sounds like he just got a promotion. I mean, what a jerk move. But that's business, and that's what's hard about it. I have people tell me all the time, "Well, where's your security? Where's your security? Where's the security in the job you have? You don't have any. Nobody has any. Unless
Yeah.
you're in some super airtight union type of thing, there's no job security. I'm sorry, that just doesn't exist." And I went through that. I work every place that I got a job at eventually got bought out. I didn't necessarily lose my job, but it became a place I didn't wanna work at. I didn't apply for that place to be my employer, and they changed everything, and that's not what I wanted to do. So, and then I did have a couple that took my job, my position was eliminated or whatever. So, it's there is no job security. I'm sorry. It just doesn't exist unless you own the company. um, somebody can take it away. Or you can be the vice president of a company, and the board can vote to
True.
oust you, and that's it. And they might not give you your pension. There's legalities, I'm sure, into some of that too. But um, you're not guaranteed anything. So do what you truly want to do, and make sure you have something that someone can't take away from you. Those would be my two. That's my life coaching for tonight. But yeah, I'm very sorry for that daily hilarity. Hopefully excuse me. Hopefully he finds something um, that he'll like and be comparable to what he had. And of course, asked him to work extra hours for someone that didn't show up. Yeah, well,
Of course they did.
that's about it too. That's the other awesome corporate tactic that I love. Okay, we're gonna hire you for this job for 50 grand a year, let's say, but you're gonna do these 3 jobs now for 50 grand a year because we eliminated this position, or Johnny quit and we're not gonna hire somebody now, and blah 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 blah.
Right.
And because you're good at what you do and you manage time and you can handle extra, they just give you the extra with
Load them
no
up.
reward. No reward. And that still doesn't guarantee you that you'll have a job.
It's true.
So, all right. Matt is here. I don't think we've seen Matt in a while. Evening, fellas.
Hello,
Welcome,
Matt.
Matt. Johnny's here, of course. Evening, guys. Getting ready to bust open another 2024 Tops ASG target set to list the better singles.
I
I'm
really need to check
still
that out.
I'm still killing it with my ASG sales. Still. I've bought 5 sets so far. Um, I don't think I'm gonna buy any more though, because we're kinda getting to the end of the run, and,
Yeah.
uh, I got 300 bucks into them at this point, but I've made a ton on them. A lot of the common guys you can sell for 3, $4. It's been fantastic, so good for you. They just stink to list because you gotta list them by hand. That was the one ball buster part of it, but I knew it was gonna be worth it. I could smell it when somebody first mentioned it. I was like, "Ooh, this is a winner." What's that? Were you gonna say something?
Well, it's just is are you saying you got to list them by hand just because of that All Star that ASG image in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't you can scan them. They show up really, really crappy, of course.
Mhm.
Um, and the problem is I think people would skip past your listings because they don't look like the ASG card, and they would think
Okay.
it's because you gotta remember there's also a like, a base version of this, it's just a
Right.
regular Topps card with the foil on it. So you need that foil to stand out to make sure that you can get the sale. So, but that's the good part about if you're gonna have a project like that that's gonna be labor intensive because you have to list them by hand, make sure you buy a few of them then, so that at least you're listing them in quantity. So, when you have 5 sets, okay, yeah, I gotta list 700 cards individually, but I can list 5 of each one at a time at least, if that makes sense. Because you don't have to list each one of the 5 copies on its own, you can do it as a quantity listing.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't
So
do that
so in
anyway,
that
then,
light,
right?
you're listing. Right, but my point is you're listing 3,500 cards, but you're really only doing 700
Okay. All right.
labor,
Yeah.
and do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Versus, okay, I'll buy 1 set. Okay, well, you're spending the time on each one of those 700 cards then, and you're only gonna get 1 sale because you only have 1 copy.
Yeah.
So,
That makes.
if you can find multiple sets, obviously, if you can only find 1 set, that's the end of it, but yeah, when I got to the 5th set, I was like, and I was out of town a couple times, and I thought, I'll try to find a Target nearby and buy some ASG sets. And I'm like, I got enough now. And you don't want to get to the point where re-spend so much of that money on your inventory. Now you're not getting the sales out of that you lose your profits.
Right.
And you guys probably maybe don't care as much, but I need profits. So, I'm whining in the CDP Discord now, LOL. Yep, good for you. I think it's something really out of their control when they're rebuilding um, your scans. I think that it just has to log you out in order to do that. I'm assuming that's why they do it that way. I wish they could do it at, like, a time that didn't wasn't like a normal day to operating hours type time.
Yeah.
So, I
I don't
wish
know.
they
It's
would
weird.
do it at, like,
It's
1 AM or something.
not like every subscription item you have like boots you out when you're not watching a movie on Netflix and then when they charge your account, it kicks you out of the movie. Like
Right.
it's weird that they would have to do a full stop on everything for that
I
second.
know. But he's not wrong though. I mean, I literally had it happen to me last month, so
Yeah.
there's gotta be a reason that they do it that way. Let's see. Brian says it's manageable. Canning and garden season is practically over, so I have time with Jess and the dogs and cats. Herbie is in my lap, but those hours are when I don't go to any shows. Yeah, because then we gotta add that on top of it, right? We didn't even
Yeah.
talk about that. So that's a good point on our time, shows. Now I haven't been going to as many and I don't feel as much pressure because I have inventory to list. And whereas when I first started doing this, I had to at least go to a show every 2 to 3 weeks. Um, now if I need to, I can go a couple of months. Um, I love shows. I enjoy shows. To me, that's not work. I like doing it. I still think it's the best way to pick up inventory. It builds your community connection. Sometimes it's my time out of my basement. It's I get to hang out with Charlie and Ethan and, Brian and these other guys that, I like doing cards with. So to me, it's fun. But it does need to be considered work time because you are literally working. So, and generally a show for me would be about 3 to 4 hours, I would say, like on an average Green Bay type show. Because I'm generally going to be there right when it opens, 9 o'clock, whatever, and I usually go till 1, maybe 2,
Yeah. I
and
felt
get what
like
I
at
need,
least
and then
4 hours at a show.
yeah, yep, and then go get a lunch and do all that stuff. But
And then if you
yeah,
go to one out of town, you have the drive time too.
correct. Yep. Let's see. Art says, I think my ideal day would be working at 8 a.m., pull the day's orders for shipping, then hopefully afternoon because I have so many orders. I use the afternoon to list. Yeah, and that's kind of a good general layout for a day. You want to do both sides of the operation every day if you can, because if you fill orders and you don't list, well, now you have less listings. If you list and don't fill orders, now you got pissed off customers who didn't get their stuff. So they do tend to go hand in hand. The only thing I would say to that is there's other things you have to do. You have to, obtain inventory. You have to manage inventory. When you have a couple hundred listings, that's not hard. When you get to 50,000 listings, that's a little more involved. Um, there's accounting to do. You want to do a little bit of your business management in the day. You want to look at where your sales are and um, you know, compare yourself to prior periods and am I not listing the right cards? Things like that. And then customer service. You are going to get the more listings you have, the more sales you get, the more messages you'll get, the more return requests. And I didn't get this thing or whatever. Um, and then, yeah, the mail too. You got to get the mail out. So, depending on how you have to do that, that's going to take you some time potentially too.
You mean there's more than just shipping and listing, listing and shipping?
There is definitely. Now, those are piece number 1 and piece number 2, those do have to be accomplished. Um, but, like I said, the bigger you get, the more there's other things to it. And I'm glad he brought this up because this was going to be my next point. Then have the evening to myself outside of sending offers, some sourcing weekend for shows, which true, we did talk about that, the weekend and all that kind of stuff. But that's the other thing, offers and accepting offers and sending offers. That's something that you kind of pluck in, at least I do. I kind of pluck that in probably almost 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So, when I get up at I'm an old man, so when I get up at 2 to pee, I check and see if there's offers I can send, if there's offers I can respond to, put the phone back down, go back to bed. And then I take the dog out in the morning, check him again, and then I get downstairs to do my early morning hours and um I'll check them couple more times before I head back up, get the house all going and ready to go, get the kid out the door, and then boom, come back downstairs, and that's probably the first thing I'll check is do I have offers I can send and reply to and things like that. Um, and that's just and again, the more you have listed, the more that's gonna pop up. There are times when I'll have 40 or 50 of them at a time. Um, Where when I didn't have that many listings, I used to look at each one because I wanted to see the market trends. Well, what cards are people looking at? Because that would help me for buying and listing. Um, but then it got way too cumbersome. There was just too many offers and too many uh, offers I could send where I would look at them individually and now I just do bulk percentage off or whatever I decide to do with it. How about you, Charlie?
For the offer piece specifically, I do that all through the day, just like you
Yeah,
do. It basically anytime I pick up my phone, if I see an alert, I'll work an offer.
yeah. That's what
Now
I
I
try to
don't.
do too. You got the fish on the hook, you have to pull the reel in,
Yeah,
pull the line.
yeah. And I actually, there are a lot of times I won't send offers until I have more than one to send because I do like to use the bulk
Mhm.
offer tool
That's what I
on the first
yeah,
offers. Yeah.
that's kinda what I do too, but it even if I check it every half hour, it's very rare I have less than 1
Yeah.
or just 1. Like I said, sometimes it's like there's like 30 or 40 in there, it's crazy. So, what's funny? I was just talking about those Ninja Turtles, Cybercell cards.
Yeah.
I just picked up my phone, I literally got an offer on a Casey Jones card.
Nice.
Just a common. Yeah. So, didn't offer me enough, so I'll reply with my counter. Remember when we played the counter offer game in the car on the way back
Yeah.
from that
Eau
was
Claire.
fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was interesting to see how we kinda did them the same, but we kinda did them different, and both ways made sense, and yeah, it's interesting how things can have some vary to them, even though it's the same thing getting accomplished.
Yep.
Uh, Bo says Bo says, "I have no kids and no hobbies. My workday is every waking hour." Well, I know that's not true because I do watch your show here and there, and I know you go to Cubs events and you
Yeah.
go out with buddies to concerts and you go to Pearl Jam
Trivia
shows
night.
and you walk your dog and, yep, your trivia night and you take the garbage can out. I mean, um, I know you're not telling the truth on that one. Um, but yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying though. I'm kind of the same. A lot of the hobbies that I used to do, I just not interested in anymore. Um, so the time I would have spent on those hobbies, I generally just put back into cards. Because it's my hobby and my business. So uh it does feel a little bit at times that I'm working every waking hour. But I try not to make it seem like work, right? So like let me try to explain this. So let's say I'm hanging out with my daughter, right? And we're playing a game or we're outside, riding bikes or doing something like that. And she's like, "Oh, I have to go in and use the bathroom quick." "Okay, no problem. I'll wait out here for you." Well, guess what I'm doing when she runs in to use the bathroom? I
You're
got my phone
listing.
out.
You're doing
Yep,
offers.
I'm either listening or I got my phone out and I'm responding to offers or I'm replying to a customer service thing, and then when she comes back out, I'll finish that up if it's not done, and then pop it back in my pocket, and then boom, we're back to riding bikes.
Right.
So I try to. It's always there. It's always something I have to manage, but I feel like it's a lot of times it's something I can do like in my little nicks of time. Um, that's the beauty of being able to do this now versus when I was doing eBay full time stuff back in the late '90s because you had to sit at a PC.
Yeah.
You didn't have a phone. So, I would have to, like if I was taking the dog for a walk, I would have to just go on a short walk and come back so I could get back to the PC because I had auctions ending or whatever. Now with a computer in your pocket, there's no reason you can't participate in the rest of life and still be able to, you know, manage a constantly demanding job.
Back when you were using that AOL.
I'm just trying to think of this. No, I never had AOL, but I was trying to think about because I must have been Yahoo. I bet I
There's
used Yahoo
yeah,
back in that day.
Yahoo and Earthlink and what else was there back then?
Hotmail.
Yeah.
Um, I think those were kind of the big ones. Angel Fire.
I don't remember that one.
Oh yeah, Angel Fire was like kind of like message board type stuff.
Okay.
Kind of like AOL. They sort of started out the same way. But yeah, so well, it's funny because I heard Bo talking about this on a show a couple weeks ago or whatever about Gosh, I can remember, like, getting cash in the mail or getting a money order in the yeah, and I remember that too. And I remember buying stuff, and I had to go get a, money order or whatever and mail it out, so, we've come a long way tech-wise as far as being viable to do as a full-time thing. Troy says to Bo, "You have Ernie." See? Exactly. You have kids, you got a dog. You get a high energy dog. Troy says, "I do 4 to 5 hours every day. That doesn't include the time I do searching for new inventory." Yeah, because that's part of it too. Even if you're not at shows or whatever and you're buying online, that's still like search time, right? That's still shopping time. um, that you have to consider. Yeah. I don't do nearly as much as that as I used to. I pretty much got most of my inventory just buying lots on eBay. But I don't buy a lot of cards that way anymore. I really like the shows. And I really wanna kind of get it more and I talked about this a little bit last time, and again, part of it's a time management thing. I really wanna get to the point where I'm just, like, buying out tables
Okay.
at shows, like, I need inventory, I find a dealer with some good inventory, um, they give me a good deal or I make them a good offer and they take it or whatever. Um, I'd really like to buy more that way because I you just get so much of a better deal. You just have boxes of stuff you bring home with you right away, and then you're good to go. You have this stuff sitting there that you can just list as you go. And I feel like I tend to get cards that I wouldn't necessarily buy if I was picking through individually and buying.
Hmm.
Um, like, would I pick out the Contenders leather Yancey Thig pen? I would not. But I listed two of those today or yesterday. When the hell did I list these? No, today. I listed them this morning. I sold them both for $3 a piece today. So, um, I that's what I like about that kind of a buy. You get everything cheaper. There's really good stuff in it,
Right.
that you would normally buy and sell. But then there's all this little bonus stuff in there that you do. Fernando Venezuela. I had a bunch of like early 80s Fleer and Donruss cards and stuff like that in those boxes, and I had listed a bunch of that, you know, over the past few weeks when I had the scanner and that, and then there was bunch of Fernando Venezuela cards in there, and I sold a bunch of those because he passed away yesterday. Now those weren't cards that I would really dig through a box and buy,
Right.
um, but I love those kind of free money sales, so I that's what I think I'd really like to get to is, just finding good solid dealer tables where they've got, $3 boxes and a $2 box and 5 50-cent boxes and be like, "Okay, I'll give you $500 for the whole thing," and take them and go. It's less time spent at the show, you end up with more cards with a better price, you know? So, I like that experience a lot.
Yeah,
And
it
then you
is
just have
a
'em
it is a different feeling when you do that, right? And then
yeah.
you come home, you've got all this inventory. There's also the fun of kind of the discovery, right? Because you
Yeah,
kind of
seeing what's
thumb
in it.
through it before you pull the trigger on a deal. You kind of have an idea of the kind of stuff that's in there, but you
Yep.
don't have time to go through and see everything that's in there before you pull that trigger. So then you get home and then you really find out, are there some gems in here or not?
Well, and like I said, you find the sleepers, like
Yeah.
Yancey Fig Pen,
Mhm.
right? Things you wouldn't I knew the set was good. That was the main reason why I wanted to list them because those were really expensive. They were like $8 for 3 cards in a pack, which was like insane pricing back then. And like I said, they're all leather, they're unique, cool designs, very 90s. Um, and sometimes like there's good players in here too. There's Jerry Rice, there's Warren Moon, there's a few other bigger names in it that didn't sell. And sometimes the Yancey Thig pens are the best thing to list. So you just need a buyer. That's all.
It's always the trick. Just got to find that buyer.
All right, Brian, gotta get that buyer. Um, and then to sell them the same day, like, dude, that's always a good thing. You know,
Yeah, it is.
I talked about that in my last sales video. I was like, it's awesome and it's kind of frustrating because it's like, man, I pulled those out. I just took the photo of it. I just listed it. I just put it in a bag. Now I'm taking it out of a bag and putting it in an envelope. It's like
Yep.
it barely got to rest on its glory of, being part of my inventory and boom, it's out the door. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny how that emotion creeps into it. Brian says it helps when Jess comes with 2 shows, and it helps to get our different takes on pickups. Yeah, having somebody to kinda bounce stuff off of is good, and Charlie and I do that quite a bit because he knows more about wrestling and car racing and that kinda stuff, and I know more about soccer and a lot of the different non-sport stuff, and, how'd those pony cards do for you, Charlie?
They have done pretty well, and I'm sure what I have
Mhm.
left will do pretty well as well. That was a lot of
So
wells.
right. So that's how you kind of figure that out is you have some try to get some expertise in some different spots. Uh Daly says I noticed you file your cards by the date you listed them. Do you have any kind of way to keep from relisting cards you already have done, avoiding duplicate listings? No, not really. And when I do end listings and sell similar, yeah, the date changes on the listing on the computer, which again is why I like to have the date on the bag, so at least I can see when I actually put it in a bag. But I think you're looking at it incorrectly. I mean, I don't really file them by date. It's just that's the number I'm using for the SKU, if that makes sense. So you could really use any number there. You just have to have something in that field where it identifies where the location of the card is. It's not date isn't necessarily the important part of that. I like using the date because then I know when I actually put it in the bag.
Yeah,
That's why I use the date. As long as I gotta assign a number to it anyway, why not use a date? Because at least that has relevance
yeah.
besides like location.
And the duplicate listing thing, you kind of have an idea typically of what you list a lot of, right? And card
Mhm.
images will pop in your head. Like the other day, I was listing some Joe Burrows. Well, I know I list a lot of Joe Burrows. Chances are I've probably already listed some Joe Burrows over the last 2 years. I will stop and say I'm pretty sure I've seen this before. I'm gonna scan my listings to see if it's in there, and then I just up the quantity and put it in the bag I already listed it in.
Yeah, and I've done that too. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. I'll just list a
Yep.
new one.
Or the quality is a little
um,
different.
yep, yep. Um, so yeah, there's really no right or wrong. For those of you who aren't close to 60,000 listings, you should have plenty available where it doesn't really matter if you make it one listing or two listings. Um, but yeah, I mean, you don't have to like my system. You don't have to agree with my system. It's my system. You can go and do
Yeah.
it how you want to do it. Um, Charlie and I do it actually very similarly. We label our stuff a little bit differently,
Hmm.
but outside of that, our system is basically the same, and we both really like it, and it really works well
Yeah.
for
It
us.
works well.
So, all right. Although Charlie needs like a better way to put the bags. Like I'm not a big fan of using the monster boxes for the
Yeah.
bags,
Yeah.
as you
I'm,
guys
I'm
know.
still on the
Um,
lookout for a file
yeah,
cabinet like your system there.
yeah. The solution is a little tougher than it sounds because you can't just go buy one at the store. You have to kind of,
Right.
and they can be very expensive. So you kind of have to, if that's something you want, you really have to put some effort into it. I had to, for this last one, I had to drive 2.5 hours by myself in the rain to pick it up. and then, drive it the 2.5 hours home. I literally drove there to get a cabinet and then drove home, but it was perfect for what I wanted it to do. It was perfect in size, it was fireproof, price was pretty good. Everything fit, so sometimes you just have to do what you gotta do. 'Cause, yeah, it's not something I can run to Home Depot and pick one up.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
did my, did you see my new pumpkin arch?
No, I didn't notice that.
Did you see my So, yesterday morning, I don't know if you know this, but every year, uh, Home Depot makes really nice Halloween decorations, okay? Like,
Okay.
a lot of the big animatronics and stuff, I have my animatronic witch out front and some of those pieces. Um, well, every year, it gets, like, a week before Halloween, and they just, boom, throw everything 50% off.
Right.
And, you can buy the stuff online. It sells out, like, in 10 minutes. It doesn't even matter what it is, everything's gone. Um, so they had this pumpkin arch thing, and we just put in a new walkway out to our curb in the cul-de-sac. I
Okay.
don't know if you saw that yet. I think you saw that when you were over the other day. We put the staves that go out to the front of the house. It's kinda
Yes. Yeah.
mulched
Yeah.
out front right
Yes.
now because
Yes.
we don't have all
Saw
the
that.
plants in, and yeah, it's a work in progress, but we really wanted a nice big pumpkin arch at the end of that walk path because we thought, "Oh, that's perfect." When the kids come through, we'll have a light shining on it so you can see, like, the angry pumpkin faces and all that stuff. And then, yeah, lo and behold, they go on 50% off. So by the time I got up to my wife's office to discuss if this was what we wanted to do, boom, they were sold out online. So, I check, okay, well, let's see if either of the stores have them. And of course, the Home Depot close to me didn't have anything, but the East Side one did, which, that's a pretty good ways away from where I live. It's the complete opposite
Right.
end of town. So I'm like, it's like a 25-minute drive. And and the reason I'm telling this story is because time management. Um, so I was like, well, I got a lot of stuff to do, but you know what else I have to do? Go pick up a pumpkin arch right now. So it took an hour and a half. Taco John's is right there, that's a big treat for me, and it's the only one we have, so I never get to go. So I said, okay, well, I was gonna make my own lunch today, but gotta conserve that time to work when I get back. So I went there, and the only one they had was the display model. So I had to literally take it apart in the store and carry it out to my Jeep. And they didn't have the price marked down yet. Because remember, the price just dropped in half like an hour ago. When I got there. So I went up to the cashier and I said, "Well, will you honor your online price?" And of course, she had to call a manager, and the manager's like, "Well, yeah, we just didn't change them yet." And it was a whole thing. Like, this is a whole hour and a half out of my day, which totally worth it. And it got something done good for my family and stuff.
Right.
Um, but then it was like, I'm gonna have to work an hour later tonight, because I think part of time management, what's important about it is to make a good list of what you need done for the day or what you want to get accomplished for the day. Make it longer than what you actually will have time to do. So it kind of forces you to keep moving on. At least this is something I do. And then whatever you don't get done that day, you simply carry over to the next day's top of
Next
the
day.
list. That's how I do it. And then if I fall way too short in the day because I have something weird come up, like I got to run to the school or take the dog to the vet, go pick up a pumpkin arch, then I can add on my little tags of time, that I need to keep my time managed as best as possible for the business.
Sure. I don't think I
Weston has
noticed the
joined us.
arch because it was overshadowed by the ginormous inflatable pumpkins.
Yeah. Well, that's not mine. That's the neighbors. But yeah, that's a thing in my hood, I guess. Um, and you wouldn't have noticed the arch because I literally got it yesterday.
Oh, so you didn't have it up yet when I stepped by?
So N no, I just put it up yesterday.
All right.
I have a picture of it, I guess I could pull it up. Weston is here. We haven't seen Weston in a while, have we?
Yeah. He's
My
still getting
Rowdy
rowdy.
Pelez guy. He's still rowdy. He says, "Nice mic." I'm assuming you're referring to my mic since it's in picture, but thank you.
Your
I really
color
like it. I think it
changing.
works pretty well. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of fun. If you got to get one, why not have a fun one, right? I got to get through all my individually listed cards today to see this thing. Um, oh, I know where it is. There we go. So there's me in the car with all the pumpkins in the back. You can see my because I just barely took it apart, just enough to fit it in the car. And then this is what it looks like in the yard,
Oh, okay.
out in front of the walk path.
Very nice.
Yeah. So we're pretty pleased with our purchase. But that thing was 200. That thing was $200 when it came out. I'm like, and then 100. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of worth it. So because if you tried to take like buy a bunch of plastic pumpkins and like make a thing, first of all, it wouldn't turn out nearly as well, and
Yeah.
you'd be shocked how much it costs for like a plastic pumpkin because they're such a hot item and you can't find them in a lot of places. So you
Okay.
know the we have the plastic pumpkins that go all the way up our walkway, which also made this appropriate. And it was like 50 or $60 just for those plastic pumpkins.
I have no frame of reference because I don't think ever in my life have I looked for a plastic pumpkin.
You remember the ones where it was like it looks like a jack-o'-lantern, but it's just a plastic pumpkin, and then it have like a plastic handle, right? So that it was one you would trick or treat with.
Yeah, the kids trick or treat ones. Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Okay.
Uh Charlie, where's your JC3 banner?
It's still here. It's still here. Time management, right? It takes time to put it up and take it down.
Hi.
So life has gotten pretty busy here the last couple months. So had to make some concessions. I'm sure it'll make a return though. I do have an image of it to use a green screen, but I really don't like the green screen quality here on StreamYard. It's just too glitchy.
Mhm. It is. It gets kind of like flashy and yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't keep up
yeah,
with it. I
very
agree.
fussy.
So no using the hard card stock with political ads to wrap cards. Not for me. I avoid politics at all costs with anyone if I can help it. It's just the politics are so split like 50-50 these days. You're either going to make somebody really happy or really piss them off. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's worth the effort or worth the chance. Dan says, has anyone looked into PSA grading with GameStop? I like the idea, not spending 200 a year for subscription. Just go to the store and have them do it for a good rate. I have not, but I did hear it was like $19 a card or something, I think. So it was like basically the bulk price, which is pretty good deal. And if they take care of it for you, sure. I could see that being a valuable service if you feel like they're going to be able to handle your cards okay, and get them
Yeah,
back to
that's
you.
the thing.
That's yeah. So that's up to you. If you're comfortable with your GameStop and you feel like they'll get your cards back, go for it. I don't do much grading. I don't really see. I buy cards based on their value at the time, so I don't really see the need to grade everything. If it was like a really good card that would really jump in value and the condition just looked unbelievable, that might be something different. Like my precious metal gems card that needs to be graded, things like that. Sure, but I don't think I'm going to grade this foil based Brett Favre card, which is generally the stuff that I'm selling.
Yeah.
But
Somebody has
yeah, I
though.
think
I
it's
bet you can find a graded version of that on eBay right now.
oh yeah, absolutely. And here's what I actually like about it. And now I'm thinking about it like globally as far as a card business owner person. I like the fact that they can get more normals into it. And what I mean by that is, some kid who likes to play video games is like, "Hey, I got a couple packs of cards, now they do grading there and they actually sell some cards there." And like that's good that way. I feel like anything where they can spread the card experience to other places that people will go that don't normally get cards, that's just good for our business. Because if some kid's like, "Oh, you grade cards," and then and then goes and looks them up, and oh, it sells for this much if I get that, and decides to bring a couple cards in, GameStop sends them in, they get graded, they get good grades on them. What are they going to do with them if they get good grades on them? They're going to sell them. And
Yeah.
they sell them, and then they're like, "Hey, I want to buy more foil Brett Favre base cards so I can grade them." Guess what? They're going to buy foil base cards from me. So I feel like it's something where it could potentially increase business. So I'm completely in favor of it. And you're right, that $200 membership thing is dumb. They need to get rid of that. I don't get the point of it. Just let people pay to submit cards and be done with it. You're making enough money on it. I think it just drives people nuts. And then I know there's a bunch of people that do it where it's like one person has the membership and then other people just bring them their cards and they
Sure.
submit them. So like you're not getting all these membership fees anyway. Everybody works around it. Or think about group submitters, right? Like shops that will submit for any of their customers. Well, they're only getting one membership fee out of that. Like I don't get the point of it. To me it's just like eBay limiting your listings. I don't what's the goal there? What are you
Oh
trying to
boy,
do?
here we go again.
No one's got an argument for the other side that I've heard that makes sense. So I don't get it. Just let us list all the cards we want to list. What do you care? So anyway, all right. Keith says, "What's up, fellas? Good combo on selling low end stuff. I'd much rather move the low end over the more expensive cards." Yeah, I feel the same way. That being said, since that's what we talked about, and I haven't said that being said yet tonight. So
No, you have.
take a drink, everybody. Have I?
You have.
Shush. I don't say it as much as I used to though. Um,
That being said, you still say
yeah, but
it.
but I think it's important to not only have low end cards. I think it is important to have some $20, some $30, some $50 cards, and more possibly. Johnny says I was a plumber for New York City water supply for 30 years. I don't consider anything I do with cards as work, but I average about 3 hours a day doing it. And that's not bad at all. 3 hours a day.
Where does New York City's fresh water come from? Inquiring minds want to
Uh,
know, Johnny.
I would assume from I don't know. It's got to be is it the bay over there? Isn't there a bay that they would pull it from,
I
or a
don't
river?
know. That's what I'm
Yeah, I
asking.
don't know either.
I can't
Manhattan.
imagine they have wells all over.
I wouldn't think so either. They'd have to
And
pull it from a big body of water.
yeah, and I don't think they have desalination stations like they do down south because I never hear people talking about the funny taste to it.
Right.
Um, yeah, they're probably stealing it from like Pennsylvania or something.
Oh, that could be. Yeah, they could be borrowing it from a neighbor,
From
like
the
like
freshwater
Lake.
lakes and the Poconos.
Yeah, like Wisconsin and Lake Michigan water, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I think you sell a little bit different stuff than we do too. I think you're doing like more mid-end stuff too,
I
so
think you're right.
probably
Yeah.
isn't quite as labor intensive. 3 hours a day, you could get away with a little bit easier. Likewise, when I go to a card show, I have the most fun digging through $quarter boxes. That's what I love. Same. That's
Yeah.
my my true reward work in my job because there's like every job, there's a bunch of stuff that isn't as much fun to do. Patrick says, "How do you compete with people selling cards at 99 cents free shipping? I know they are banking on multiple shipments, but if not, that's a loss." Uh, I do have a way that I combat that. Um, I generally don't share that, but now it seems like it's so rampant in the Discord, probably doesn't matter. So what I do is my lowest price I list a card is $1.99 with free shipping, but I'll use a 50% off coupon with a quantity sale. So what that means is if as long as they buy a few cards, when they check out, that $1.99 card costs them a dollar or 99 cents, whatever. So essentially, they're getting a card for 99 cents free shipping, but it protects me from them buying one single card at 99 cents free shipping where I would lose money. That's what I do. How about you,
I
Charlie?
I don't compete with 99-cent cards. I do have discounts, multi-card discounts, but not quite that deep. I will do 30% off. But yeah, I really don't try to compete with the 99-cent cards. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. Maybe when I grow to a certain level, that'll be more viable. But right now, that's not something I want to do.
Yeah, and the quantity I require for them to get that price is pretty big. It's not like they buy 2 cards, they get it at 99 cents. So, they have to really commit to an order in order to get that 99 cent free shipping, quantitative pricing, if you will. Yeah. All right. Weston says, other than Card Dealer Pro, have you come across any other AI tools in this industry? Yeah, eBay has one. Um, they have their own little listing function now. I didn't really care for it much. I like Card Dealer Pro better, and Card Dealer Pro isn't very expensive. Plus, I get some affiliate money. So I knocked off my bill. Um, so I'm going to stick with them. I like their software. They tend to get sets in there pretty quick. Uh, so you can scan most newer products, I think, earlier than what eBay would have stuff in there. I think eBay's AI basically operates off of previous sales, right? Is
Yeah,
that how
I
they
think
pump it
so.
in? So that can get weird too, because like you'll scan certain cards and it'll say like green parallel, but it's not really a green parallel. I mean, Card Dealer Pro will do that too, but I my experience, I baited the eBay one, and my experience was, um, I don't know, it just didn't do as good a job in my opinion. And maybe they'll get it to that point, and we won't even need Card Dealer Pro. I don't know. We'll find out, but that one, and then, I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but there's another scanning listing.
Kronos or something like that. Is it?
Kronos, you're right. Yep, Kronos, Kronos. And I haven't tried them at all or really looked into it. Car Dealer Pro has been the place to go for me, um, based on conversations with other sellers and just I don't know. Once I was against the whole scanning thing for a while, I'll admit to that. Not I shouldn't say against, but I just wasn't like it just didn't seem beneficial enough to me until Car Dealer Pro 2.0 came out. I spent some time on it and uh, took a couple of free scans and ran it through and looked at it. And then Charlie really wanted to get into the scanner because I didn't really want to buy one myself. I didn't feel like I needed to have one 24 hours a day. So it made some sense for us to split one because we wanted the high end scanner. We didn't want to have to do this a bunch of different times and get frustrated with it. So we bought the FI 8170, and um, Car Dealer Pro just worked right off the bat. So I used it from day one and haven't really looked back. But yes, those are the three that I'm aware of: Kronos, eBay, and Car Dealer Pro. And of course, Kronos charges too, just like Car Dealer Pro. Ah, that's my distribution
South
center.
Jersey.
That's funny. Max says always need to be buying. We were talking about maxing work hours. Who cares in the end? All about the money made in the end, not always about the input. Yeah, I mean, that's true too. Uh, my point is I want to try to get as much accomplished in my work time as possible because I want to have non-work time. I have other things in my life that I want to dedicate time to. So to say, "Who cares about your work hours?" Well, I kinda do, 'cause I want time that's not work hours, so I wanna make sure that I'm maximizing everything I do when I do work. But that's why I pointed it out. I try to get little work snippets in here and there when I'm not really working as well, like, "Oh, I'm waiting for the 3 minutes for, my wife and my daughter to run up and get sweatshirts because it's cold out and we're going somewhere." Pull that phone out, send some offers, reply to a customer, whatever it is, and then boom, get right back to, personal life matters. Um, yeah, they'll always need to be buying. I know we don't totally see eye to eye on that one. I don't see a need to just have boxes of stuff everywhere, if I can't process it. Can't sell it if I don't list it. So I like to have a healthy amount. I agree with you there versus like I would list everything and then I'd be like, "I don't have anything to list." And then have to wait till I would get more stuff. I don't like that. That's kind of foolish. So I like to have a few boxes of stuff I can dig through and need to get listed, but I don't want like warehouses or anything. I don't that's for me. How do you feel about that, Charlie? Do you have a lot of stuff? Do you like having a lot of stuff laying around that you haven't processed yet?
So, not really. I wouldn't say I like it. I do have it. Um, but I do want to get as much listed as possible. It's not like um I, I get what Max is saying though too, like that that next deal might be just around the corner, right? And if it's 1996 Lords of the Diamond inserts or something like that for a sweet price, there there's nothing wrong with them sitting in your closet for 3 months until you can get them listed, right? They're not going to lose
No,
their value, right?
right.
Um, so I think as long as you're smart about it, I think he's right. You're always looking to buy, right? Um, but I think the pressure level can ebb and flow. Like if I'm down to my last monster box of backstock, then I'm going to feel more pressure to go out and buy just to get some options back in my inventory, right? But, if
Yep.
I've got 6 or 8 monster boxes already sitting there, then I can pick and choose where and when I want to go out and buy some more.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's what I do too. Now, when a good deal I bought that entire box of Jordan cards. I had literally the week before I had bought
Yeah.
the big 35,000 card buy, but I wasn't gonna pass on that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
easy money. A lot of them were multiple quantities, so it was gonna be quick to list. eBay, Jordan is basically liquid. You just list them and then you just start shipping them out as soon as they sell. So that made sense. I bought
Yeah.
a huge lot of Packers police cards. There's 26 Brett Favre rookies um, in that box, which sell really well. And that was a thing I tripped on Facebook. Ironically enough, I was actually looking for another card cabinet
Yeah.
when I stumbled upon a local seller with a bunch of boxes of Packers police cards, which are, you know, those were only area printed, so those are good. Those are great buys. Um, so I bought that. That was like another gosh, that's gotta be 6 or 7,000 of those cards, I think.
Hmm.
I got in that by heck of a deal at 65 bucks. Um, so I bought those and they're literally I'm looking at them right now. They're literally in boxes on my floor that I haven't even put away yet. So I'm definitely buying stuff that I'm not processing right now when it's such a great deal. Um But I think Charlie's right. I think it's the difference between that and going to like I gotta go to a show because I gotta get inventory kind of thing. That's a different situation.
Like I'll be going to the Green Bay show this weekend. I got about 3 hours on Saturday. I can stop in there, but I have plenty of backstock right now. Like I can come home empty-handed if I don't see a good deal on something. Will I? Probably not. Um,
Nope.
you know, but I don't feel that pressure to go buy for the sake of running my business, right? It's more about, can I find that really good deal? And if I
Yeah.
find it, heck yeah, I'll buy it.
This is the guy that said, "What if I go all the way to the National and don't buy anything?" The guy who's selling pony cards now. It's funny stuff. Max says not much more than those two though, Charlie. That's 95% of it. I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Yeah, I think we're behind in the chat. I'm trying to remember what part of the conversation that was referring to.
Yeah. Oh, I think when we were talking about email addresses, we were talking
Oh,
about
shipping
AOL
and
and
listing. Yeah, yeah, that makes
oh,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Shipping and listing. Yep. Had fun playing the game back from Eau Claire. Yeah, that was fun. The offers game.
Yeah,
Dan had Juno internet back in the day. I
I
kind of
forgot
remember
about
Juno.
Juno.
Yeah, that was outside the box. Most people did not have that. I started out selling cards. Now I just collect them. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Welcome to the show, by the way, Relics. I believe this is your first time here.
And I think most of us went the other way.
Um,
We started out collecting and then turned into sellers.
right, right. Um, Max says Chronosio. Yep, we talked about that one. What is non-work time?
That's true.
It's work personal life balance, right? You got to have some of that. I call it lunch and dinner. It honestly, what it comes down to is your what you want for your life, right? If you want to just work all the time, there's nothing wrong with that. You can certainly do that. If you have a family, you have hobbies, you've got friends, there's things you want to go out and do. You like going to concerts, whatever. Well, then you need to work some time in to do that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's really what you want. What you want. I wasn't looking to buy anything yesterday, but my roofing guy brought me a card locker with 50s, 70s football in it. Easier money than quarter cards out of a 5 row. Yeah, for sure. And I've bought that too. I literally had a old man bring me a beat up metal safety deposit box full of 50s and 60s football cards that he just didn't want to do anything with anymore. And I made him an
Yeah.
offer and he took it. One of my friends, his neighbor was moving. Her husband had passed away and he had some 70s baseball. Which I was like, well, it depends on what it is, but it was all good players like Willie Mays and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy them. So I bought a bunch of random, vintage baseball cards off of some lady I've never met before. So yeah, you definitely have to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. At the goat show, I had a gentleman walk up to my table with a bunch of old
That's
wacky
right.
packages,
Yeah.
and some of those football sports monster guy cards. And I've done very well on those. No, that wasn't something I was looking for, but yeah, I wasn't going to pass that up. I wanted the whole thing, so I bought, everything that he had. He was happy. I was happy. And there was plenty of margin to make some money. Have tons of inventory is fine if you can handle it money wise. Nothing wrong with it. I have a pallet of sports stuff that I could flip to one of you guys for double what I paid if you would be and you would be thrilled. Wouldn't have wouldn't have any of it if I didn't have my mindset. Right, for
That's
sure.
fair.
Yeah, you gotta look out for the good deals when they come through. Shipping and listing is 95%. Yes, it is. Give me cards 24/7. Max, you're funny. Um, yeah, and like I said, nothing wrong with that. I don't want cards 24/7. I don't. I have other things that I have some other people that I enjoy, and those things matter to me too. So when it's my
Yeah,
kids' concert during the day, I'm going to my kids' concert during the day. I'm not doing cards.
yeah. I was just thinking about some of the hobbies that I've set aside while I've been doing cards and football. For example, I haven't picked up a
Yeah.
guitar in months to play anything meaningful, right? And I do miss it. So, like, I need to find a way to balance some of that stuff out and bring some of those hobbies back in that I also got enjoyment from.
Yeah. And I think it's important, at least to me it is. I'm not going to speak by for anybody else, but I think it's important for me to have like downtime stuff. Like I don't want to just be the workaholic type. Like I want, and I work more than most as it is. But I want to make sure like, okay, I'm going to sit down and play some Mario Kart with Luna and just take an hour and throw turtle shells at each other. Like I think that's good for me. Um just to have that break. And again, I've gotten to the size now where I don't feel like I have to do 60 hours a week. I have plenty of sales all day long without doing anything extra. And then you just
Right.
have to handle the shipping of them. Now you can't go for too long. It's not like I could go, you know, for a week and not list anything. I wouldn't do that, but I don't have to list for 7 hours a day to be able to function.
Uh oh. Did your battery die? Oh, no, you're still there.
No, no, I'm here.
You like phased out on my end there for a minute.
Oh, um, my battery is down to 14% though, so we are
All
close to
right.
wrapping this up. But yeah, yeah, I think it depends on what you need out. If you can work like 200 hours a week, then work 200 hours a week if you enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that. So that balance is different for every person. I just I value the other things in my life and I want to devote time to them as well.
Right.
They're the reason I do a lot of this. You know, I wouldn't necessarily work at all if I didn't have to, but I do. So that's who I do it for. But I don't have much hobbies outside of this. I don't really buy anything. I don't really, I did a lot of that type of stuff. I'm selling a lot of it. I sold a 48-inch Stormtrooper today.
48-inch?
48-inch Stormtrooper, like a room guard
Wow.
Stormtrooper. Yeah, it was just a like a Jack's Pacific type figure. And I bought 5 of them because Target screwed up and they had them listed as the 18-inch or 24-inch figure price. So they were like 25 bucks or 30 bucks or something,
Yeah.
and they should have been like 100 bucks or something. So we went and bought all of them. They had 10 of them. I bought 5 and my buddy bought 5.
Yeah.
And I just don't. We used to use them for events and things like that. I don't need them anymore. Sold a couple of them locally, but I had to take a lot less money to do it. So the last one, I'm like, you know what? I can sit on this one. I don't need the money right away. I'm going to throw it on eBay and try to get market. And I did. I got 150 bucks for it plus shipping, plus like 40 some bucks shipping. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, really good price. So now I just got to pack it up tomorrow. It's a pretty big item to pack. So
You
take
gotta
it to
ship it like
UPS.
the Christmas story lamp.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I never thought about it, but try to find a box in town. There's no office stores anymore, there's nothing like that, so
Yeah.
I went to Granger. Do you know what Granger is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I
They're
went
the
to
ones that get it
Granger.
done.
Yeah, yeah, um, 'cause I knew they had, like, different shipping boxes and stuff like that. Well, to get a box the size that I needed, it was gonna be, like, $12 and some odd cents for the box, and then they had a minimum purchase of 10 boxes, so it would've been, like, 120 bucks for the 1 box that I'm like, "No." So I had a few friends that I knew had things going on or order a bunch of stuff online, order large Halloween decorations online.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, by chance, does anybody have a box that could fit this item?" Well, a buddy of mine just bought a gun safe, one of
Okay.
those like floor standing ones. And
Yeah.
he's like, I was literally gonna just break down this box and throw it out. So he's like, you can have, I'll bring it over tomorrow. He's coming over tomorrow. So that worked out well too. He's just gonna bring it with him. Um, So, that's what I'll end up doing tomorrow. I'll get it wrapped up really good, I'll tape it into the box, and we'll get that one on the way. But I checked with UPS because I have my UPS commercial account. Since I get the labels from them and everything, I figure I might as well use the shipping service. So, I checked with them and it was gonna be like 38 bucks or something to ship it. So, it really wasn't too bad. I was pretty happy with it.
That actually isn't that bad. I thought it would have
No.
been a lot more.
But that's also because of the you get that business account discount, just like if you did it through eBay. eBay
Yeah.
gives you a discount 'cause, I'm sure the normal price would have been like 60 or 70, I'm guessing. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, use my discounted price for that, so it's a good deal. Access cards are my hobby, just happens I also like money as a hobby too. Yeah, I think that's
Fair.
probably true for most of us. Having no kids or pets helps greatly. Don't need to take care of rats during non-work hours. Yeah, we're definitely in a different spot in life for sure. And I'm very happy with where I'm at. So I just want to make sure I have, like Charlie said, he enjoys playing the guitar, so he wants to try to make sure he has time to do that. I think that's good. That's good for your psyche and your health and your
Yeah.
peace and your personal development and all those good things. So um, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. All right. Is there anything else you want to add, Charlie? Otherwise, I'm pretty much ready to
I
hang up
I
here.
think we covered the time management topic pretty well tonight. We talked, really every aspect of the business and how we look at the time spent and some tips and tricks about how we maximize our time when we have it available. So I think we talked that one to death.
The only thing we didn't really talk about was inventory. I think that's the thing that can suck the most of your time unintentionally if you don't
Okay.
know what you're doing with it.
If you're not
Um,
organized, yeah,
yeah, so I would say, I mean, we did talk about like the bags and the dates and things like that, but
yeah,
I would say that's probably in the cabinet, using cabinets and stuff. Um, I think that'd be the one biggest thing. Really try to nail down as much efficiency as you can there. You can add some efficiency to like your shipping, like we talked about that, right? Having your supplies close by and um, making it quick and easy using a label printer. Um, bulk shipping labels if you like to do it that way, that can save you a little bit of time. Try to get those efficiencies down because those are something you're going to have to do every day no matter what. And then try to improve your efficiency on other things. The time it takes you to list a card, adding a scanner, a listing program, um, maybe listing less individual cards and doing more lots, to make things go quicker. I think those are probably the biggest things that we didn't touch on is like the actual, operation part that you could
yeah,
adjust some time on. And then, yeah, obtaining inventory. There really isn't like a super extra speedy way to do that because you have to kind of come across it. And to Max's point, that's the beauty of, well, I just buy it when I see it and it's a good deal. He's right, because otherwise, what are you going to be doing? Searching those things out? Well, that's going to
Right.
take you more time, more money, and you might not even find anything. So when you get those hitters in front of your face, yeah, you definitely have to take those. Um, and then try to be efficient when, when you are actually looking for it and it's not, presented right to you, and try to find, the best methods you can where you can get those items and not have to waste a lot of time looking for it. I know you struggle a bit. You've said in the past with eBay, like finding stuff and spend so much time searching. And I've gotten really, really good at that. Now you're better at you were doing really well buying on Whatnot and
Yeah.
hitting hitting some $1 auctions and getting some inventory that way. So there's a lot of ways to get stuff now. You just kind of got to figure out what I've heard people going to, like, well, I just go to rummage sales and there's always somebody selling cards and I'll buy those. I don't really do that. I haven't done that at all. I don't do estate sales. If I do estate sales, it's to go with my wife and it's just for fun and we're looking for little trinkety items or whatever. If I stumble across cards, great. I don't really do Facebook Marketplace much, but the few times I've been on there, I've bought stuff. I bought a really nice lot of vintage Star Wars about a year ago. I just bought those boxes of Packers police cards. You can find some really good deals. You can save on shipping because you can pick them up locally. There's some advantages to that too. So yeah, take advantage of the ones that are staring you in the face. Like Mac said, if it's a money thing, well, that's different. But if you've got it, buy it, have it sit there until you get to it, and then yeah, when you're searching things out, make sure you're going to the places that are going to work well for you to find things. Card shows, online, whatever. So those are kind of my parting thoughts on that. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we could do a whole other show just on some of those aspects. I guess I would say one of the things that sticks out to me is the inventory system. If you can't go from looking at the order to having the card in your hand in 30 seconds, you have opportunities to improve.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've timed myself a few times, and I think my average time is 33 seconds to pull a card. And what adds the time to it is sometimes I'm in the wrong drawer and I got to pull a different drawer. Sometimes the bag can be an obstacle. I'll just put it that way, where it's like
Okay.
I'll open it, I get the card out, and then it's like takes me a minute to get them back. I shouldn't say a minute. Takes me a couple extra seconds to get them back in. But sometimes it's a lot shorter than that. I'll grab a bag and it's the card on the top, and I don't even have to take them out. I literally just slide the one card out, and it's now I'm down to 24 seconds, for that card.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you want to try to hit that 30-second mark. I think is probably a good one, um, to manage the time as best as possible. All right. Well, that's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for everybody who's joined us live. If you're watching this recorded, try to join us live. We're here every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. The Discord link is going across the bottom of your screen right now. If you're not part of that, join there. Lots of good conversations going on there. I'm going to try to make a new video tomorrow. I've been popping up more videos lately. I've had some more time again. So I'm going to try to do one tomorrow. I have an idea of what I want to do. So I'll do that. Anything JC3 got cooking, or are you just kind of trying to get through football still?
Yeah. Nothing immediate. Nothing immediate. Of course, we'll have more liquidity lists coming out soon. Trying to think to myself what I've got coming out next. What do I got coming out next? Um, or if I have a special request, I can always do that as well. But I think we're on to I think we're on the basketball again next, which is timely with the season kicking off, tipping off, I
Yeah.
should say.
Yeah. I think think like yesterday was opening night or something, right? It was the LeBron Bronny Griffey's
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
thing. So, um, yeah, we start getting in the time of the year where it's home all the time because of weather and things like that. So, should be able to get quite a bit more done. I'm at like I said earlier, I'm at 54,200. I plan to hit that 60,000 pretty quickly here, and that'll be either be a video or a live discussion of building the second store. So I'm looking forward to that. It feels like it's dragging along now because I'm excited to get to something, like I just got to hit the 60,000. And then I'm like,
Right.
damn it. Now I sold Yancey Thigpen cards. Come on, people. I'm not going to get to 60,000. Um, that's a good thing, but still. So yeah, we're just plugging along. Charlie hit 10K. So we're all building, and we're happy to see the success all of you are having as well. And leave us comments. Leave us we don't have to end the chat just because the live is ending. Leave comments, time tips, time questions, and we'd be happy to get to you. Post on the Discord, whatever. And like this video if you liked it. If you haven't done that yet, give it a thumbs up. Share it if you think somebody else would enjoy it or get something out of it. And that's it. That's it.
Peace out. Take care of each other.
Remember, you can't sell what you don't list. Listing and shipping, people. That's the key to life. We'll see you next week, same time, same channel.